about this just because it just popped up, and since it's the first message. Did you watch anything about that?
I didn't get to watch it, but
we didn't get to watch it, right? Because of
I kept up with it. Yeah, we were fishing Toyota, but I definitely kept. I tried to fish it the last couple of years. I like the NPFL. I like the guys running it. So it just didn't fit logistically this year or last year at all with travel and what I was going to make. So I fished the Toyotas. But I'm a fan of NPFL. It was cool to watch. They smashed with no forward-facing sonar. I saw Bird show up a day late and still make the cut. Did you see that?
What do you mean a day late?
He was fishing BPT on Murray. He got cut, so he had to miss the first day of NPFL on Santee. He was going to come home. Like I talked to him. He's like, man, I don't know. I could go over there and fish. They're all catching 30 pounds. I'll probably just head home. I wasn't going to get to fish this one because he was planning on making the cut. The dude's made almost every cut he's fished for the last 3 years. He's killing it. But that night he decided after I talked to him, he was like, screw it. I'll just go over there and fish blind. No practice. Puts in, catches whatever. I don't remember, 26, 28 pounds, 24, whatever. And they get to fish 3 days no matter what in NPFL. There's not a cut. And he catches another, 26, 28 pounds, whatever it was, and got the last check or got a check. I do know that. Without even fishing one day.
That's freaking wild.
Fishing. So I thought that was cool. I mean, that was cool watching Christy smash. Jordan Osborne was leading. He's from Longview. He's one of my buddies. Got the pond up here in town. He had like 33 or 34 pounds something the first day. So, no, I love the NPFL. And that was I hate Santee Cooper because I always get dominated there. And I shouldn't. It's right up my alley. But that tournament would have been fun to be there and fish for sure.
Well, I hate when I get down here at Rayburn too much. I don't think I have another tournament on Rayburn for a while, which I'm so thankful for. But you get, I wouldn't say dialed in, but you kind of notice something. So I was going to think about this. If we had a tournament on Rayburn without forward facing sonar, what would the weights look like?
Steven Johnson would have won with 18 a day.
Okay, so you do believe 18 to 20 pounds would be leading it?
It would be different than we're thinking because we would be practicing.
I know,
the whole time doing that. I think somebody would have got 22 to 23 a day and would have won it. Yes, I do. Because yes, I would have.
Oh, no.
Yes, because you got to think all we're doing is practicing out there. I don't agree with you at all on this, dude. I don't. Because I know a guy caught 20-something flipping one day. I know Steven caught 18-something a day, and every time I saw him, he was just fishing hard spots and stuff. You had caught a couple big ones off beds the week before. You were getting frog bites. I'm just saying, guys would practice totally different if it was the NPFL there with no forward facing. They would be behind the bushes, flipping bushes, fishing grass, fishing hard spots, graphing for cranking stuff. And you would have somebody figure something
60
out.
Wouldn't have won it.
I think so. I think 22 to 23 they would have won it. Yeah.
Well, no, I can probably. So, the only reason I'll say that is this.
I don't agree.
So I'll just hear me out. In 2016, when I won, I had the largest 3-day weight record for a while, and it was like 67 pounds.
Yeah. I do. I think the lake.
Hey, and it was, that tournament was like lights out phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, 67 is I'm just telling you, it's a big weight, and that's 22 a day. And they were all on bed. Like, everyone in the top 10 was basically sight fishing, and they were all on beds. It was clear. I had a 10-pounder. I had big bass day 2 with a 9-something. Jason had a 10-pounder on day 1. I had a 10-pounder on day 3. It was phenomenal, and I still won by quite a few pounds. And so I'm just telling you, I think less than 60. I think maybe 55 to 59 wins it.
Well, we know you could have weighed pretty much 18 a day on hard spots, and that's without finding a juice hole.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this.
Then you got guys that are going to go frogging. You're going to have guys that catch a couple big ones flipping.
Okay.
Somebody would have caught them out of the grass too.
Okay.
They would have figured it out somewhere.
Okay. I'm going to go. This is great, dude. What was your coinger's weight the first day one?
11 something.
What about day two?
Out of the bushes too on a chatterbait.
Day two?
That's when I had old Cedric he brought a whole live system with him. So he just out there with me the whole time. I don't remember what he caught. He caught 2 or 3.
Day 3?
He might have caught 4. My day 4 guy had 1 4-pounder on a drop shot.
So I had my day 1 guy zeroed. My day 2 guy caught 1. My day 3 guy caught 3. The entire tournament, you could have reached the bushes fishing in the back of the boat. Like you could throw the bushes.
Half the day at least.
Huh?
At least half the day.
For me, it was like 8. Day 3, you could hit it all. Day 2, other than like 30 minutes. But even where I was at day 2, like guys were only for like an hour maybe. Could you have not have? And then day 1, shoot, I think day 1, I don't think there was maybe there was an hour in there where you couldn't have.
Well, like where I saw you on day 2 out in the middle, like that's the furthest I ever got away with something like that. But I was only for a couple hours, you know what I mean?
But that you're throwing, like you could throw to 7 foot of water the whole time, and that was an actual like legit. That's like the known Carolina rig hole right there. Like those 2 old men rolled up on me, and I was like looking at them. I'm like, are they really gonna roll up on me this close? And they just start bombing at me, and I was like, all right, I guess it's time to leave. But I mean, they were in like a bay boat wanting to like Carolina rig. Yeah. But all I'm saying is day 2 and day 3, you know how many fish I saw got caught? By all the locals. There was quite a few locals around us, right? Mm-hmm. Like 8 to 10. Not every time me and you, but like you knew where I was at. Huh?
I didn't even see that many get caught.
I never saw a person other than.
Oh, I thought you saw 8 to 10 fish get caught. I got you.
No, I'm saying there were 8 to 10 boats around.
Yeah.
I mean, I went around you all day long, but you kind of knew where I was at one time, and I didn't know where you were at. In there, I never saw a fish get caught in 2 days. Not one. Not one single fish, just from guys fishing.
But you went back in the bushes for what, 30 minutes and had 3 frog blowups?
No, 1. I had 1 bite.
Yeah.
And it missed it. Listen.
I know somebody caught 20-something flipping. I know Steven caught 18 and 18.
And then 13.
Probably off of hard spots. Every time I saw him, he was dragging on hard spots.
And then 13 though. But so when I say 18, and 13 is where I'm saying I think 50. I think upper 50s wins it. It was very hard fishing. Dude, did you look at the results of some guys who are absolute hammers on that lake? Mm-hmm. And they didn't even have limits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I mean, one guy's been smashing them up there. Like he's been getting a check in every tournament. And he didn't have a limit on day 1.
Who? He doesn't care.
Like McCall. Like McCall's been freaking getting checks in every event.
Has he? Yeah, I'm not even gonna get in what he was doing, but yeah, I saw he didn't do good. And a couple other guys, but it's kind of weird how the same. I'm not saying everybody, but I did good. You did good. Chad did good. Dakota, obviously. Cody, obviously. Not saying we fished the same stuff, but we were around each other somewhat doing the same thing the whole time. And I don't even know what Riley was doing. I might have seen him. I didn't know what boat he was in the whole time until
I wouldn't know either.
There's a couple black icons out there. And there's a couple.
You told me Cody came in between me and you, and I was like, I never saw him. So, yeah. I mean, I don't really pay attention to him. I don't really know. I just got close enough to Chad that I knew it was him and you. Other than that, I wouldn't have known anyone. I only see when I rolled up in there on day 2, I saw so many boats. I was like, that freaked me out. And that's why I stayed away from everyone. And then I slowly realized, I'm like, these guys aren't even in our tournament.
Yeah.
Because I was seeing guys like 2 guys on the front deck or like, and I was like, oh, these are just all kind of locals. And
a lot of them were those high school
kids
practicing or tournament. Right. I think they were practicing that day.
And I mean, I didn't get close to them. I just didn't want to like roll in there hot on everyone. And then, but I mean, where I fished, I mean, I I didn't hardly have anyone really.
There weren't that many boats in there day one. Like I didn't go in there till late, but I could still see it from like where I was, some of the other stuff I was fishing. And there was like, 2 to 4 boats in and out, throughout the day, which, 2 of them were 2 of our guys that did really good. And then I went in there and cut the 8.5 late, but it just got busy. That second day it got busy.
Yeah, I rolled up in there late. Well, like I said, I rolled up in there and like I stayed out on the outside away from everyone. And like I was telling you earlier that I was like, I was smashing them on the outside, not big ones. And they all came to me and I just switched places with them. It was hilarious because I was like, this is perfect. So I just rolled on behind them and they all came out there to me. And I was like, all right. So no, we went fishing, man, in practice on Wednesday. I just don't. I'm just telling you, man. Like I know it's Rayburn and whatever, but it wouldn't have taken 60. It's crazy. It's just, dude. There was only one person that entire event that wasn't live scoping that made the cut.
All I know is a co-angler told me his pro had 20 something flipping.
Yeah, but that's one guy.
He might have done it the second day. I just don't know.
He didn't do it the second day.
I don't know who it was, or he might have been lying to me. Might have caught them all on a minnow. I don't know. I'm just saying that was told, and that
he would have had to have caught 40 pounds in 2 days. And I'm telling you,
all of this practice totally different. We're flipping, frogging, looking for bedfish, trapping, swanking, stuff like that. I'm not saying it's what happened, obviously, but it would be decent.
I'm looking at it. No one even had 20 pounds day one. Oh, yeah, they did.
He had 20 something. I'm not saying it was exactly 20.
I was looking around going, who had 20? Oh. I'll put it to you this way. One guy had 20 pounds flipping. One guy had 20 pounds.
You know who it was?
That did not make the cut. And I can tell you what I don't even want to say it's him. I have no clue. I'm saying one guy had 20. Everyone else that had 20 pounds made the cut. No, one other guy caught 21 that did not make the cut. Everyone else that caught 20 on day one made the cut. And one guy who caught 20 caught 4 for 7 on day 2. And another guy who had 20 caught 5 for 10 on day 2. And that seems realistic.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I just know my co's both caught a 4 out of the bushes when I wasn't even fishing them.
No, I'm saying they would have caught. It would have been. I just think I think 55 to 59 is reasonable. I don't think that's crazy. It was hard fishing. It was a weird lake level. I'm telling you, and it was in like.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Weren't up shallow
to fish,
and the big ones weren't up shallow. They were like off.
You caught 2 7-pounders off bed the week before, though.
No, I didn't. I caught a 5 and a 7, and it was the only. And I went and looked. I went and looked Wednesday. I did catch one off of the bed on day 1.
You did?
Yeah. There was a. I had gone way back in some place in practice, and I found one, and it was a 7-pounder with it. And they were spawning. So even when the first flip on there, the 7-pounder took off. Never came. I saw her like an hour, like 30 minutes later, like 25 yards away, like sitting there in the trees. And I kind of like just paid attention, but I had one frog bite back in there. So on day 1, I rolled back in there, and I was like, "Wow," because I was just like, I can't not catch one over 2.5 pounds, other than that big one I had. And I went back there frogging, and I was like, "Man, should I just even look up here?" And I kind of looked up there, and like, I see this fish like swimming way out there. I'm like, "That's that male." And I said, "I think it's a 3-pounder," and it finally got. It took me a long time because she never got on the bed. I eventually caught it, and it was like almost a 4-pounder.
Right.
Now I was like excited. I'm like, heck yeah. And I've never had 18 pounds and rolled up to a weigh-in and felt more defeated because I was like, I don't even know if I was in. I was like, I might be in the top 10. I was barely in the cut.
Yeah, I do remember that. Like, I think there was 20-pound bags the first day.
I don't. You might be right. I know 23 pounds. It is what top 10 was.
Now, I want to say I heard Mark announce that's 20 bags over 20 when I was weighing in. I was in one of the lights.
Well, I did not have one of those bags. I was in 22nd though. So, but I had upper 18s. I don't know. It was a crazy event. It was a lot of weights.
Yeah. I got to get a charger. Hold tight. Every freaking time.
Man, I've never had my service go out like that. That's wild. Man, so I get a lot of questions. I bet you Lee's the same way about like approaching boats. Maybe it's the way like I looked at it. And I think Lee would say the same thing. When we say we're approaching boats, no one was fishing a spot. Like,
correct.
Right. There weren't like I sat down on a place that's a typical channel bin spot. But I really didn't do it for that reason. I just kind of did it because I was like 100 yards from everyone else. And I kind of I wasn't just going to go like barrel off in the middle of everyone and like shut down. No one was really close. I just noticed there was a lot of boats and I'm just not one to like roll up in there. And then I stayed out there and fished for like, I'll put it to you this way. I stayed out there. Lee drove by me. I don't even know if he realized it was me. Fished through all of it, and then rolled back out, and I was still out there, and I was still catching them. And then I eventually, like I said, boats came and left and whatever, and then, you know, like people started coming out there closer to me, and then like it kind of split. Like I looked up and I'm like, well, shoot, there's 300 yards I can go fish, and I won't even be by anyone.
Yeah, they weren't like sitting on points and stuff. We were all kind of moving around.
I could have rolled up in there easily and started fishing around people, and I wouldn't have never been close. It wasn't that. It was just I didn't want to like I said, I'm a little bit more cautious on tournament day of rolling in because like I'm real bad, good or bad. You know, me and Lee talked about it. It's my home lake, so I'm liable to just show up places anywhere because, you know, my other stuff doesn't, you know, I did it on the last Toyota, you know, like day one, I catch them all doing whatever. And then all of a sudden I end up in a totally different area all for day 2 and day 3 and caught them better, you know? And so cause I do better when I start practicing. And I was kind of not in practice mode, but I had hit all my stuff on day 1 and it was horrible. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start going. And there was 3 spots I wanted to pick. One, you don't even know, Lee. You said you had gone back in the back left somewhere back in there. That was one of them.
Yeah.
And then this one was option 2. And then I told you option 3 was if the weather got bad. And all I was doing was picking spots where I had caught the biggest fish I'd ever caught in tournaments, or like, where have I won tournaments this time of the year? And I picked number 2 because I've won more tournaments there, frogging in there. And I was like, well, I'm just going to show up in there then. And I was telling my co-angler, like, see that like bank right there? I caught an 8-pounder right there, like 6 years ago in this one tournament. I was just telling him about stuff like that.
Yeah, it was a cool tournament. I learned a lot.
Yeah, I think we all did.
The weights were crazy too. I mean, 36, multiple 30s, 34. What do you weigh? 32, 31 the final
31,
day?
3 30-pound bags the final day.
Yeah, Just crazy. And we could all went the next day and done it again.
I think absolutely we could have.
Yeah, I mean, half the top 15 would have done it again.
Yeah, it might have even gotten better for some. Like I was getting more dialed in. It seemed like the longer I was there.
Yeah, I was just figuring everything out. Now I got lucky and caught that big bag the first day, but I was just kind of like figuring out exactly what was going on. Like we always do if we don't win. We always think we know exactly what went down as soon as it's over. But
I knew what was going on day one.
Riley weighed 41 this year already.
Yeah, I knew what was going on. Everything that I had done in Bass Champs was exactly the same. I just tried to do it in areas that I thought were going to not be better. I just like where we caught them, I was like, I spent most of my time like in a 5-mile stretch of there. And when I hit all that on day one, and I didn't really practice much everything else because I'm like, dude, I got enough to fish. I can't fish it all in 3 days. Yeah. Dude, I fished it all in one day. And I'm talking about like it was like they were there in practice and they were gone. And that's the one thing I still haven't figured out. Me and you talked earlier today about that. Like, there's really no rhyme or reason for that.
Yeah.
But that's this time of the year. Like even with live scope or like whatever, we still don't like understand their traveling patterns. It's pretty wild.
No, we do until we don't. And
you're like,
where'd they all go? Was it like I told you, I thought some of mine was sun related and whether it was or not. And then the guys smashed them right beside you on a cloudy day. It was, I don't know. It was weird.
We haven't talked the cloudy day. I don't believe in anymore. The cloudy, sunny day, because there were days where there was a cloudy day out there in practice that was like lights out. And I'm like, well, this doesn't make any sense. And so I started looking at it as going, and then I started looking at it, well, is it more front related stuff, right? Because we had a front, and then we were getting another front kind of coming through on the final day. And so I was like, man, I'll tell you this much. I don't mind telling everyone this little secret. Did you go out there Wednesday after? No. Tuesday afternoon. You were not. No, you weren't out there Tuesday afternoon.
I got there at like 5 o'clock Tuesday afternoon. I put in at Caney and fished for like an hour and a half. I literally went in one pocket, the one I told you with the split. Dakota went one way, I went the other way. I went in the right one and just fished. I like drove all the way to the back of it. Just put my trolling motor down, kind of scoped around. There's a few fish in the drain. Like, I don't even know if they were bass or not. Kind of just looked. I put a flipping stick, a frog, a swim jig, a jerk bait, and a minnow on. You know what I mean? And I fished my way out of it. I literally, the first bush I went to that looked, on a point kind of deal, flipped in and I caught a 3.5 pounder flipping like 1 minute into the deal. And I was like, oh, okay. There's some up here in the bushes and a good one. Or, when I say a good one, a 3.5 pounder, you're going to put in the live well. And then I just kind of scoped my way out and I caught a couple of scoping. And then I went back to the bushes, had some like hay in them and stuff, like where they should be. And I caught like 2 more flipping. I was like, okay. And then I kind of went out to the main point, the drain beside it. And I caught like another 3-pounder scoping and went to the back and had another bite flipping. I was like, okay, they're kind of everywhere, just that's all I got to do. And how the next day it blew 25 out of the northwest. So there wasn't a lot we could do there as far as practice. So that's all I got to do was late that one day I fished on that one area and then practiced Wednesday till whenever we had to be off, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Well, I'll say this. Tuesday when the storm hit, I'd gone back home and to my daughter's track meet, showed back up Tuesday, and I was all planning on going out there early. And then I'm like, what am I doing? It's going to freaking absolute storm in the next hour. So I waited around. As soon as it quit raining, like as soon as it stopped, I rolled. So, we're only like 5 minutes from the boat ramp up north. And of course, there's no one on the water. Like no one. Like no one went fishing that morning.
Yeah.
So I put in, I'm the first one out there. I'm all excited because like I felt like I missed them, like I was all dialed in. And I drove in, and I'm like, all right, I haven't fished this creek all year long. It's a big, giant creek. And I just shut down right in the middle, shut it down, put the trolling motor in the water and looked, and it was like SeaWorld. there's fish everywhere. And I'm like getting my stuff and I'm like, and I didn't even really like look, right? I'm like, literally, there's everywhere I turn, there's fish. I start throwing out there and I'm like, man, are these even, this is weird looking. Hold on, are these all bass? And they're all like the right size. And then I couldn't catch any. And then I finally caught one and I caught another one. And then I'm like, well, those don't look the same as these. Dude, they were catfish, right? So like whatever. So no matter where I trolled I trolled to the back of this creek. And for 30 minutes of me trolling, I bet you I saw 1,000 catfish.
Yeah.
And they were all on top of the surface. And I was like, this is wild. And I get to the back of this drain. I mean, the back, like the back, where I could power pull down. And I caught one every cast. Nothing big. I just wanted to see. I'm like, I don't plan on coming here. I caught a bass. There were so many catfish. My line was hitting catfish. And if I dropped it below the catfish, bass were eating it. Now they were like, some of them weren't even keepers, right? But like some were like 2-pounders. And I'm like, well, how many fish are back here? And can I sit back here and catch a 5-pounder with these small ones? Or I'm just going to keep catching them. And like the screen was blacked out with catfish. And like I was catching back. It was wild. It was wild. And I was going, this is insane. And for the next 2 or 3 hours, and then Russell calls me. He's like, dude, are you seeing catfish everywhere? I'm like, oh my gosh, it's you can't even scope. It's horrible. And so they eventually, as the day went on, like they all started like sinking back to the bottom. But I will say, fishermen, any cat fishermen, if you want to go out there after like a freaking hour or two hard rain and put jug lines out 4 foot underneath the water. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I like 20 catfish the final day.
Yeah. Well, I told you I kind of shook some off to a degree where I'm like, I don't think this is a bass.
Yeah.
I can kind of tell the way they bite certain baits, like if to not set the hook. They'll kind of let it go a little bit.
Yeah. I caught a bunch where me and you were that day.
I will say most of them were getting in certain places. Like I could be like a cast away and I wouldn't see any, but I'm like, man, if I get up here,
right,
2 foot shallower, I'm like, those are not. There could still be a bass there, but I was like a little bit more cautious about what I threw at.
Yeah, I caught catfish, crappie, gar.
How many guards you catch?
8-pound bat, probably like 3 or 4, but I caught them all in that creek.
I caught one a day in there.
Yeah.
Caught some giant crappie, catfish. I think I even caught one white bass in there.
Yeah, I caught a couple whites throughout the day.
Did you? I mean, I usually catch them out there further out, but not usually up there shallower like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to go back out there, to be honest with you, but I probably won't be out there for another month.
I almost went that next day. I stayed at Pinkston's house that night. I was tired. I'd been in Florida for 2 weeks and went straight into that one. I woke up and it was like, 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, man, I should just slide back out there and try some of the, we both learned a lot. I was like, I just want to try some of the stuff that I learned, but I didn't. I came home see the kids and the wife.
I ended up, I didn't so Friday I was beat. Like, man, I don't know. Like, I have a hard time sleeping. Like, I just don't sleep. Like, I woke up this morning, like, Brittany was like, what time did you wake up this morning? I didn't hear you. I'm like, I don't know, 4:25. For nothing, right? And I go to bed at like, last night I think I went to bed at like 11 something. And and so we were sitting there and like I just don't sleep, especially at our I just don't sleep a lot. That night, Friday night, Russell left and I'm just sitting there on the couch. Dude, I woke at like 8 o'clock. I started like having a Charlie horse on my left calf because that's the calf that I use the trolling motor with 90% of the time. And dude, it was like most of the time you get Charlie horses, they're in like one part of your it's like a hamstring or it's like this. It's one specific muscle. This was like all over my calf, so no matter where I put my foot position, like if I raised it up, it was like cramping in the front, and it all happened at once, and I'm limping around there. and I like luckily Russell kept those like weird little pickle. They're like hot pickles in a bag or something. I don't know. I was like, I downed the whole thing real quick, but man, I was so tired and freaking like whatever from that event. And that was on Friday. It was bad.
Yeah.
What's a chicken tender? Me and Lee are now chicken tenders. Chicken tenders. Do you know what it means, Lee?
That's all you. That's Toddcast lingo.
I forget who actually said it, and I was not allowed to like repeat who started it, but it's like chicken tenders are like the young scopers.
Oh, you are a chicken tender.
No. Chicken tenders are the guys. They're up there. They're scoping. They got a juice box. Chicken tenders, flat. They're just little young guys.
French fries, ketchup.
Yeah. They don't. Yes, they're eating ketchup with all their stuff.
Apple juice.
Yeah, there were. I yelled at Steven Johnson, yelled at him and "What's up, old man?" He's like, "Dude, I am old up in here." It's a lot of young guys out in that event, but I don't know. So you got what's today? Wednesday? I'm out of it.
It's Wednesday, March 12th, 1:32 p.m.
And you get to go practice Friday.
Yeah. 60 mile an hour.
So explain it to me because I don't ever pay attention. So I'll be there, but do you realize I've never even gone and watched, and I won't this year either. Man, you bet if you're leading it, I'll say this. Well, no, I don't want to say this because I don't know if I'm going to be there Sunday. If you're leading it though, and I am there Sunday, I'll come to the weigh-in. So I've never been to the weigh-in. Usually work in the expo. Usually can't wait to leave because you know how that stuff goes. Like if you're working, I don't even want to call it working what I'm doing. I'm standing around, not even. So let's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you practice.
Yeah, practice starts Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then you're off Monday. Kind of go to the host hotel. Just get settled in with, your belongings. And then Tuesday is like your meetings, registration, all the stuff we do with Bass. We set up all our boats, have just some personnel come around, make sure you got your license and just general meetings and stuff for the tournament that day. And then Wednesday is your official practice day. We go out
So you do get another day to practice.
It's not a full day. You go out in order of boats, just like it's a tournament, and you have to be on time, just like your regular tournament day. So like last year, I was 1 second late on the practice day on Wednesday. Like I literally shut down in Wolf Creek at the buoys 1 second after, and I had to sit in the penalty box the first day of the Classic.
How long?
Like I had 15 minutes or something. I don't remember. So that's a regular practice day. And then you have Night of Champions that night. You go out with your wife and all the other anglers do Night of Champions. And then Thursday is media day. You park your boats, wherever they have us park them. Usually like a Bass Pro or something like that, somebody that's sponsoring Bass. And you have all these different media outlets come by and interview you and talk about the tournament and do that for a few hours. And then you're done. Start the tournament Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That is a freaking 7, 8, 9. It's a 9-day event.
It's
right? 9-day event.
It's an 11-day event because you're going. I'll be there Thursday.
Oh, 11. I totally missed that. Yeah, Thursday.
Okay, the next Thursday, and then we have after whoever wins Sunday night, you have whatever they call it, Toast of Champions Sunday night at the host hotel, in a ballroom. So if you win it, we'll all the other anglers and the family members go in there and we toast, have dinner, drinks. So you're there until Monday the next week. So it's like 11, 12-day event. It's a different animal for sure, just because your practice is spaced out so much and a lot changes. But
yeah,
It's
when I fished the All American, they only have 1 day of practice. So I would go out there and practice earlier when I was on Wilson, but then like you said, like you went out your boat number, like you said, and then you went out with your co-angler too. Your co-angler got to come.
Yeah.
So your co-angler and you went practicing that day, which I was like, I was giving him like, here are the baits you can throw. And he was like, what? I'm like, and none of them have hooks on it. He's like, seriously, I'm dead serious. Like, yeah, dude. And I was like, I shook them all off in practice. We're going to shake them all off today too. He's like, all right.
That's good.
I mean, I let him. I'm like, you can throw whatever you want to, but like, dude, if it's a bait, you don't need a hook on. We're not, no hooks.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, he was cool. He was cool as can be. But yeah, I that's a long, man. I'm not getting there till I think Thursday. We'll set up. And they don't even tell me when I don't even know what I'm going to be doing there.
Yeah.
I'll just be hanging out.
That's it.
Huh?
So that's it. Just hanging out, talking.
I guess. Even my wife was like, she's like, do I come to this? I'm like, what do you mean come? She's like, well, I've never been to any of this stuff. I'm like, yeah, you can come one of them nights. So she might show up Friday night. She's like, am I going to be in the way? I'm like, I don't know. Who cares? What do you mean? Like, I don't know. I have like zero, what do you call it? Like itinerary. Like I have zero on the itinerary.
I hate it like that. I'm an itinerary guy. I have to know what I'm doing.
No, I don't think I might not have to be doing anything. That's what I don't have to be anywhere is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's good. Your wife had at the weigh-in before I even got my bag for nothing. Something I didn't even do.
Do what?
Your wife at the weigh-in the other day.
Oh.
She's like, I don't want you to. I was like, I don't think that's me.
No, that's Ish and Andrew and Hank. Like we did one the other day. Like trying to get 4 guys to do all this is extremely hard. And Ish is like 2 hours in the West Coast, so we're doing always those. And Andrew's the worst. So like he'll call us up probably like the day before one of y'all's events. Say, hey, we need to do this pick'em stuff, and we're all like, hey, dude, we've got stuff going on. So we didn't do one till like 11 o'clock at night one night. And I'm not going to lie, when we did it, I was like, this is the worst one we've ever done. And because I was like, I don't know. I every once in a while, like once a year, I'll watch a replay of it just to see like how bad was this. And I probably laughed more at that one than any of them. I don't know why I thought it was so funny. And it was, like, I thought it was horrible. They were talking about freaking green leaf or something tea for a while. And I was just like, what are we doing here? This is ridiculous. My wife showed up, like peeked around the corner. She was like, that is way too loud. And I'm like, sorry. Yeah.
What you got next?
Huh?
So what do you have next?
Other than that, I know I got guys coming in before the Classic to go fishing, and then I have some Strike King guys come in afterwards to go fishing.
So you're a guide now? You're guiding now?
Well, they're just like, are you going to be around for these 3 days? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, we'll call you. So I don't even know, like, I don't really know. And then I leave. Me and Russell I think we got like LBJ and then Cedar Creek. I
thought Cedar Creek was like this weekend.
Yeah, but it's a different Cedar Creek. I think it's the TTO. I think we're fishing the TTO ones.
Oh, I thought y'all were fishing jams.
Well, we are, but we're not. But I'm going to miss this weekend because I'll be in Arizona.
That's right. I knew that.
I'm trying to look. See, I only get so far ahead to where I stop paying attention. Yeah, LBJ, and then Cedar Creek, and then we have like 3 to choose from, and then 3 or 4 more to choose from. Like, we just kind of go. Like I said, we're just going around choosing stuff. Oh, hold on. Hold on. They're asking me this. Oh.
Yeah.
Hold on. There's how many of y'all? There's 50 of y'all? Because that matters.
Mm-hmm.
What's the chances of you making the top 10 realistically? So, like, I want to do it based on the fact of like how I feel about certain stuff. So, like, if you're going to ask me before every Toyota that I've ever fished on Rayburn, if I was on them and I was going to make a top 10, I would realistically tell you about 20% of the time I feel like I'm on them enough to make a top 10. Now, I probably make a top 10 out of at least one out of every three. But I don't feel like that going into it. And like I have to pull stuff out. Like I feel like like it's been a long time where I can put it to this way. I bet you it's been 10 years where I was probably in the top 5 after day 1. So which means like I've had to figure it out in the tournament. Even like this one, I had to figure it out in the tournament. I got better. The first one I was in 29th after day 1 and moved up to 14th. Like I got better every day. I don't know how some guys are different, and I don't really know. I've never been fishing with you or how you do it. Like, but I kind of sometimes do worse on my home body because of that. But I have a better chance to.
It's not my home lake though. I've just won some your tournaments there. It's not my home lake at all. I'm
not saying it's your home. I'm saying that. But I can't talk about Ray Roberts because I don't want to talk about it at all. I fished Ray Roberts, and I'll say this much because it's the winning part. You know, I finished fifth there last year in one turn, the only tournament we fished. The year before, I finished 4th when you won. Wasn't that 2 years ago?
23, yeah.
So I came in 4th, and then we came in 2nd in a TXTT. I think we've probably got 5 top 5s in TXTTs, me and Russell. A top 10 in a bass. I fished 1 bass champs there. No, I fished 2. Finished 9th 1 year, and then I finished 5th by myself. Then me and Brent won a Bud Light championship there in the fall. So like my record up there is like, I would say it's not even close. My record at Ray Roberts in my last 10 events compared to Rayburn, it would look like I look like a chump on Rayburn. Like I smash him. I do way better at Ray Roberts, but we fish it like once a year. But I feel confident when I go there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like you, but I don't know if that would like, but I feel like I could like bomb there too.
Yeah, it's a different lake, but you know, it's a different lake. It is. It's totally different. It's different than Fork. It's different than Rayburn, but at the same time, it fishes somewhat the same sometimes, some places. It'll be interesting to see. It's a good tournament lake. Doesn't have a huge population, but it's got big ones.
That's the crazy part is the population part of it is different, but the big ones is like wild.
Mm-hmm.
But it fishes. I'm not going to talk about it. It's a. I don't know a lot about. Like I know a lot about it, but I don't. Are you like this when you come? I'm going to talk about Rayburn instead. When you come to Rayburn, do you just like focus on places you've been, and then you just like everything else you don't even care about?
Yeah, I just have to figure it out. You know what I mean? I don't know Rayburn that good. You know, I fished like 5 or 6 tournaments down there, a couple opens, a couple of Toyotas, and 1 BFL. You know what I mean? And like a platinum team trail like 40 years ago.
So will you go off, like I said, when I'm there, or like when I fish places like that and I've done good, I'm going, I don't need to go figure out more stuff. I just need to.
Yeah, that's what I have to break it down. And it's so big too that it's not like I can fish from Buck Bay to freaking Stanley. You know, you have to break it down before you even get there. So that's what I do. You know where I fish. I usually, if I do good at Rayburn, I'm going to be in a small zone.
Yeah, that's how I kind. I started getting more like that with lakes I've been to, whereas places like that. Plus, it's not exactly easy to run around that place
Right.
if you don't really know. I kind of take guesses a lot of time. Well, even on Rayburn, sometimes I'm like, man, I haven't run this in 4 years. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure, and I kind of run it all blind anyways, like off memory. And I'm like, this is kind of right. And then it gets to a level where I won't do that. But
yeah,
up there, I don't know those levels. I just know that I know it's nasty.
it's got big trees. Yeah.
Big trees. So, do you get? Are you? I asked you earlier off air. I was like, not excited because. Okay, okay, you're gonna love this. Do you get those co-anglers every once in a while that like get in your boat and they're like jacked up?
Oh yeah, like I need to win this.
Yeah. Well, not even for them. Like for you, they're like wanting to like high five you and fist bump. Like, hey man, let's do this. Like, let's go. And I'm sitting there like, and like on my mind before we take off, I'm sitting here going, I don't even know what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking about like crushing on him at all. I'm just sitting here like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna go. I hope my first spot I even catch a fish. I hadn't even checked it in 3 days. I'm like, I'm not excited at all. At all. Are you like that?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm more just business. Like I'm there to make money. So every thought going through my head's about $1. And I want to win too. I've done good in all the classics I fished, top 10 most of them, top Super 6 a couple of them. So I'm hungry for that trophy too. But don't get me wrong, but I'm there to make money. So it's all calculations on what I can do to make the most money or win. It's just I'm business. It's business with me still when I'm fishing tournaments, especially the big stuff. You know what I mean? It's
winning is like when you win. I'll put the last time we were there at Ray Roberts, and even like I've come in second. We've come in second, a lot. Like we came in second the other day at Bass Champs, and I was like, everything went the right way. Everything went the right way, and we were 8 pounds out of first, right? And we were like, Russell. Like I said, I'll never forget because Russell, like after I caught the last 7, he looks at me and is like, we got a chance to win this thing. I'm like, huh? And I'm like, I don't even. How you calculate the numbers up, and I hadn't even done that yet because I just got a 4 to 7, so I'm like sitting here like, how do I catch another one? And he's adding it all. He's like, we got this much weight. I'm like, seriously? And we had like 30 minutes left, But even on Ray Roberts 2 years ago, we came in second. Dude, it was like where we started was perfect. How we throughout the day, and then we caught this one fish at the end of the day that was like this wild fish that we saw. One of those that you just see out there swimming, and we caught it. And I'm like, we won this thing. And of course, we let it until the last 10 minutes, right? Someone else came in there and got us. But like winning that, it's hard to sit there and think, oh, I'm going to go win a tournament like that because it's like you have to have almost everything go right for 3 days.
Yeah, exactly.
And then have like a special day, like have everything go right, and then have a really special day.
Yeah.
Like you had a special day on day 1 of the Toyota, and you still would have had to have gone out there and caught like
the same.
Like like you couldn't have like slipped up and caught 23.
Yeah,
you'd have lost.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. I didn't know if you were like. I don't know. I don't know what you think. Wait, Lee's probably thinking about it right now.
I'd rather be there than Fort, put it that way.
Would you?
Oh, yeah. Anywhere.
Yeah. Why?
Just, it's like you talking about Rayburn. I'd rather go take my chances at the Sabine River or Rayburn or Ray Roberts or somewhere that I just kind of know, but I don't know too much.
Do you think you can? Here's a question. If they put 10 more tournaments on Fort, do you win any of them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had a bad day last year.
Okay. So I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that way on Rayburn.
Well, yeah, but you're fishing against the same local guys every time. You know, I'm fishing against 100 guys that don't live on Fork.
Oh, that's true.
Y'all are so strong down there; it just doesn't even count. Y'all are like a niche in the tournament scene.
It gets frustrating. What's cool about it gets frustrating at times when you're down there with them, trying to beat them, or like like you said, like we had a phenomenal day at Bass Champs, and then 36 with the 12-pounder, and you're like, oh, or whatever they had, and maybe it wasn't that. I think it was the turn before they had a 12-pounder, and so it gets it makes you get better. But then when you do roll around to other places in Texas, I don't know. We seem to do really well in other places in Texas, and it doesn't seem like it has that same type of feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go anywhere down there. There's a reason you've done good down there. But you got guys that have fished a tournament down there every single weekend for the last 3 months. I mean, I'm not saying some of them don't get burnt, but they just know what's going on. Dakota lives there. You and Russell fish there. The Riley kid obviously is fishing there. Just Cody, Chad,
Cole Moore, I mean,
yeah, Cole, Baxley kid and his partner.
Colby,
I mean, it's
Wesley. I mean,
yeah, and you got McCalls and stuff like that have fished there 8 million times. So it's just a total different. It's kind of there's only like the only other lakes like that kind of in the country, and I don't even count Gunnersville because you have so many.
Gunnersville? I was going to say Gunnersville.
You have Okeechobee. No, the one that like y'all
Exactly.
is Okeechobee. That is the exact replica is Okeechobee. Those guys don't leave. The freaking sticks there freaking don't leave. They don't have to. They have all kinds of stuff down there. But the only other mirror is Gunnersville. But the difference you have there is a lot of their guys travel. So the pros that live there don't fish Gunnersville that much because they're always traveling. So y'all are definitely the biggest niche in the tournament scene on local hammers.
I love like the one thing. So there was like two things in this event that I love, or one thing of it. I was telling my daughter, she was asking me about, she's old enough to have a conversation like this, but she was asking me some questions like 2 nights ago. And I was like, yeah, I was like, she was like, did you want to win? I'm like, yeah, I didn't have a chance to win. Like, I didn't like, she was like, well, man, what about that big bag at the end? I'm like, yeah, that was for me. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, because, sometimes she was like, did you make any money? Where's the trophy? Like, it's always different, right? My son was like, where's the trophy at? And I'm like, yeah, it's over there, whatever, go get it. She was like, what about this one, Dad? And I was like, oh, this was 100%. Like, I wanted to walk up there with a bag full of scopers, young scopers, and be like, what's up, boys?
Yeah.
I mean, because they're freaking better at it. And so and then there's this like old guy, young guy thing. And I was just like, man, I just want to just like, hey man, I haven't gone anywhere. Russell always used to say, I just want to make sure that we, they know we haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But I love going to other lakes. Like I love showing up. Like every time we go to like Ray Roberts, dude, I love showing up there. And it's like no one from Rayburn goes up there, but we'll show up. And like, hey, I love going to places like that around Texas where like they're used to the same guys. And then like, because I'm sure everyone's like, I'm more impressed when you come down to Rayburn and catch a big bag. Because I'm like, dude, you know how hard that is? Because you're not just down here all the time. Like it's tough.
Yeah.
And you've done it both tournaments. I'm just listening to all that. That's true. I am. That's why I tell everyone I'm redneck famous. You can go anywhere around the country, no one will know me, but you could go into some random backwoods freaking like tackle store and they're like, hey, I know you.
Yeah.
Well,
do you talk to Combs any? Why isn't he fishing any of that stuff?
I don't. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anyone that really talks to Combs. He don't really. He's fished some Toyotas before.
He's won something.
He'll fish one in the fall. I don't think he really likes him in the pre-spawn. He can't go cranking.
He won one in the spring. I remember.
What?
A Toyota. He won one in the spring.
Not in like the last 20 years.
Yeah, he's won a couple.
Huh?
He's won a couple of Toyotas, hasn't he?
No, I fished every. I know every. No, he's never won a Toyota in the spring. I'm just like it. I'm not saying I could come close to naming all the guys who have won one
in May. He won one in May.
Yeah, he won one in May.
End of April, May 2nd.
I think I finished fourth that event. Was it 2021? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I finished fourth in that one. Because I finished fourth a couple times on Rayburn. This was another time. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he cranked up. I think he cranked up a giant bag on day 2. And I'm looking at 2021. I was going to see what I did. 2021. That's what I thought. Yeah, I won Angler of the Year that year in 2021. That was the last event, and I finished fourth and ended up winning. Huh.
The AOI in our division this year has to be stacked because everybody that did good again. It's got to be ridiculous.
I looked at it. You're in.
I'm probably not even in the top 10.
Yeah, you are.
15th and 7th. That's how stacked our guys are this year.
No, I finished 14th and 4th, and I'm in 4th. I think. Yeah. I think
Chad caught him again. I caught him again. You caught him again.
Dakota's leading it.
Everybody that caught him both tournaments almost.
Yeah,
in the top 20.
It is why I think I know Cole Moore's up there again because he won Angler of the Year last year.
Chad caught him both times.
Chad caught him both times. Let me see. I don't know. What oh, there it goes. Standings. I think well, that's not the right one though. Southwest. Brody Campbell, Riley Harris, me, Chad, Cole, you. Dylan Thompson, Wesley Backs, all the guys we've been saying. Austin Pemberton, Zane Parker, Caden Met. But I mean, it really only matters. Say top 7. I'm not knocking Dylan Thompson, but he's 9 points behind you. Because it goes like that's a big point. Like because one of those 7 guys,
right?
You're 14 points away from Dakota, and I'm 10. But like Brody's 1 point. 1 point. Riley Harris is 4 points. Then there's a 6-point jump between Riley Harris and me. And it's like 504, 503, 501, 500. So yeah, it's going to be. I guess you're going. I assume Dakota's going. I guess everyone's going, right?
Yeah, I don't know if Dakota's going or not. I think we can only be there for like 1 day of practice or something. We're leaving somewhere out east and heading straight to that, and then we have Fork the next week, and then the Sabine the next week. There's like 4.
Look at him. Who's going? Where'd you go? Anyways, so I hadn't even looked at it. God, like y'all been quiet on the comments, and now I just looked up and y'all went freaking nuts for like 5 minutes. I'm looking at 9 a.m. I'll just start answering comments real quick. Toyotas might not be around. Toyotas will be around. They're just going to have to fix some things. And fixing some things is going to be I've talked to the tournament director. There's like two things they're going to have to fix. They're either going to have to do three things. They have to figure out the calendar thing. I think they have to figure out a scheduling thing. Hello? Okay. Well, I'll end it. It's all right anyways. Okay. But so Lee said he can't get his computer back up. So I'll end this. I'll answer some questions real quick. They got to fix the calendar thing. They got to do the scheduling thing or a live scope thing. They're going to change something because you can't have 98 guys show up to Rayburn in March and then have like everyone weigh over 20 pounds. And I say that because when everyone's catching over 20 pounds, you would think that it would be lights out, like everyone would want to come join in. It's not the case. So they will change something. I don't know what they're going to change. I have ideas for. I'm trying to help them. I don't know if I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible because I do not want the Toyotas. The Toyotas are still the best thing in fishing. They're phenomenal, guys. Like someone, I got sent a message by someone that it was kind of like a screenshot, and they were talking about like these Toyotas they're bad. Look at the payout, and I'm like, whoa. The payout wasn't good because there wasn't showing up. I don't look at that stuff. I look at the fact that like, is the percentage right when they do the payout? And they were looking at the opens. I'm like, no offense, there's nothing to win in the opens, like as far as the championship. Toyotas have a free championship where they give away a ridiculous amount of money. It is and you only got to fish 3 of them, and they're usually in your own backyard, right, to qualify. So it's what'd you finish 2009? What'd you finish 2019 FLW Rayburn? I think I did horrible. I think that was the year it was 10 foot high. I've made videos about why. Someone asked me one time. So earlier this year they had the opens and the Toyotas, and they're like, "Why aren't you fishing the open? You have a chance to win and go to the classic." And I'm like, "I don't circle events." And what I mean by circling events is like I've done that in the past, and I'll never do it again. Circling an event is like basing your whole tournament schedule off of seeing one event 6 months ahead of time on your home lake going, I have a chance. So it's kind of like me talking to like Lee about Fork and about me about Rayburn. Most of the time when I do good on Rayburn, it's an event that I wouldn't have said, oh, that's where I'm going to catch them. And so I could have looked at this event and go, man, it's in March. I mean, every time they've been on beds in March, I've made a top 5, which is true. But they weren't on beds this year. It got cold and they're not on beds. And so I had to catch them a different way. I still did good, but yeah, it could have been, it's like that. So the 2019 FLW tour went to Rayburn in January. It was 10 foot high. They almost canceled the event. Everything that I knew about Rayburn was pointless. It was worthless. It actually hindered me more than helped me because where they caught them, there's never been a fish caught there before because there was water wasn't there, right? And so I was looking at things the wrong way, and I did try to go spinnerbait them, but yeah, it's just I didn't do good. I don't even know what place I finished. I didn't even care. But yeah, now the only other time we fished an FLW tour event there, it was the first FLW event I ever fished. It was like an open tour event back in 2000 and like I don't even know. I'd have to go look again. And I had JT Kinney on and we were talking about JT Kinney was leading it and I was in second after day 1. And then day 2, I think I finished like, maybe I was in 8th place or something. And then I fell to like 12th or 14th. So I finished like, I don't know. I know I ended up making at the time I was pretty young, and I know I made $8,000, and I was like, it was the most money I'd ever put up for an entry fee, and to win 8,000, I probably put up 2,500 and won 8, and I was like, I remember catching a fish going a 2-pounder or something and going, oh my gosh, that was enough for a check, and it was a big deal for me because I was like, it was hard. So. I think the toilet entry fees. What's the toilet entry? 1,500. I think it's 1,800. It's 17 or 1,800. I know that opens like last year, 2 years ago, or 1,800, and there are, but it might be 1,800 now. Okay, Lee's not here right now. Is it going to be a sight fishing classic? No. And will most of them be done spawning? Zero of them have spawned. Zero. Not one has gotten on a bed. So even when I was at so where I live and where Ray Roberts is it's a 3.5 hour drive straight north. So I mean, they usually don't even get on beds till like late March. So I went to Fork yesterday, and I put my boat in for something, not to go fishing, and it was like 51-degree water temps, and it was 70 yesterday. So no, I'd guess they move to beds next week at Ray. I don't even think they'll be there next week, in my opinion. I bet you it's minimum 2 to 3 weeks away. I mean, they're not even on Rayburn right now. They might get on Rayburn today. Maybe today, just because yesterday got to 70. But I mean, when we were all out there, it was like 55, 56, 57-degree water temps. I mean, it hadn't been sunny. It just got sunny yesterday. We're way behind. Did you ever have home and back to talk about his retirement? He don't want to talk about none of that. So that's all I'll say about that. Yeah. Have you ever fished? Oh, Todd, have you ever fished the Sabine? No. Don't really want to be honest with you. Like none of us in Texas I know going down there and fish the Sabine. We always kind of joke around about like that place. It's kind of like the Red River. Like we hate the Red River. And the reason is like I can bring up about 30 lakes in Texas that are 10 times better than Sabine. So we always hate it when like bass champs went to the Sabine and the Red River a couple of times for the championship, and we never went. I'm like, this is the worst. Like we have all these phenomenal lakes. Don't go to like these places. Like let us go freaking catch some fish. Like we live in Texas. Let's take advantage of it. And that is not a place we want to take advantage of. What are your ideas, Todd? I don't know about what. What else? Yeah, like you can look back, not many really win on their home ponds. It's very hard. Like usually everyone has that one defining win on their home lake. I think it's very hard. I think it's very hard to win two. I think you got to fish a lot of them, but I think it's for whatever reason, it just, and like he said, man, Rayburn, we have so many locals. Riley Harris, I think, just won the TXTT with like 40 something pounds. People get on rolls, right? And sometimes it's just, that's his year. Will he do it next year? I don't know. But it's usually, it's just so hard, right? And usually you have one. This year we have 2 chances on Rayburn. Was it last year we have one because we fished Rayburn, Toledo. So you usually only have like one time, once a year, to do good. So, I mean, there's only so many wins to go around. And unlike the Toyota, I know what I'm about to say, unlike normally in the elites where there's 100 guys, and I know we only had 98 guys this year. I get it. But in the past, like 150 is like the least you'll ever see in a Toyota. When I went, I think there was 200. Yeah, I mean, put 200 guys out there, it's a little bit different than an elite series with only 100, or now a BPT with like 60 or however many they have. It's just a lot harder. I've always said, and me and Ish and all of us have all said, it's so much harder to win an open because of the amount, or a regional event like this, because of the amount of people that are in them. Anyways, I think a guy might win on a wacky if forward facing didn't exist. It would not have been won on a wacky rig. It would have been it would have been won. I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10 in the past, it's almost always won on a Carolina rig. So it would be hard for me. We had this argument, me and Hallman. It wasn't an argument, it was a talk. And the talk is this: it would not have been one flipping. I've only seen one event ever been one flipping, and it was like, I think it was a fluke. More guys would have flipped, because I'm not saying it's easier to do, but it's easier to get bit in it's out of the water. You can see it. You can see a bush, you can flip into it. It's a pattern that's like, at the end of the day, if you haven't caught anything else, like, I'm just gonna go flipping all day long. And you can get bit doing it. You can. In the past, you might go out there and get 60 bites flipping. Problem is, it's a good way to get 60 bites and catch 10 pounds. And you'll catch 60 fish and have 10 pounds. And then the guy next to you will have caught 9 fish and have 22 pounds. And you think you did something wrong, and you think that guy did something right. And neither of those is true. Because the next day you go out there and get 9 bites and have 22, and that guy went out there and got 50 and had 10. It's why I don't flip on that lake. And I used to tell Hallman, because he used to come down here all the time and go flipping. And I'm like, he's like, you're not flipping at all. I'm like, it has to be last resort. I cannot catch a fish. I said, because the Carolina rig's a better deal. And then the tournament would roll around. And after day 3, or day 2, you look at the top 10. And it's like 8 flippers and 2 Carolina riggers. And he's like, look, see? And I'm like, yeah, but the guy leading it's throwing a Carolina rig. And there's another guy throwing a Carolina rig. And there was like 5 guys throwing a Carolina rig, or 10 guys throwing a Carolina rig and 190 flipping. And if you look at the percentages, that's really good that 2 of them made it. But if you'd have flipped those percentages, right? If you'd have said, okay, I'm going to make 190 guys throw a Carolina rig and 10 guys are going to flip, the top 20 would all be Carolina riggers. There would be 0 flippers. And so, Lee's right. We would all practice different, and we would have found different kinds of fish, different places, and things like that. But it still would have been the same old Rayburn, where, a 20-pound bag has you in the top 3, and you're not going to do it again. Not when they're like this with very little grass. It would have been tough. And to be honest with you, forward-facing sonar has made fishing tougher for the average person. And when I say the average person, I would be the average person too. I'm calling myself the average person. Like, if I had to go out there and fish without it, it's made it harder on me. It's the fish are more educated. It's obvious. Like, all of us can tell. Like, that is not even up for debate. And there's a reason why, is that, like, in the wintertime now, fish are like getting caught constantly out on the lake that would never have gotten caught. They'd go months without seeing a boat or seeing a bait. And when they do push up shallow, the first bait they see, they're going to eat. Well, now they're like, no, I just got caught like a month ago. And they're harder to catch. It's why I was talking, and this is very easy. It was why I was talking about, this has gone on longer than I realized. It's why I was talking about the fact of, I'm around all these boats and we're catching giant bags and no one's catching a fish. I mean, I can't answer y'all's, whatever. I guess y'all didn't go too long. So anyways, yeah. So yeah, no one's going to throw a jerk bait because there's no grass. Like people threw jerk baits around grass and stuff. Now it'd be so. Here's the other problem. If you listen to Lee and what we were talking about, he had a place where he said him and Cody went, right? And it was all small ones. And you could tell there was all small ones. And then when he came in there with us, he's like, yeah, I didn't see as many. And I went over here and didn't see them. And then I pulled up in here and I saw them all. Well, if you didn't know that and you're just throwing a jerk bait and you go to where you got bit the day before, right? And you have no forward-facing sonar like we have, the only thing we get to go off of it is fish catches. So there's two types of people. One that's like, hey, man, this is where I got them. They were big in here in practice. I'm going to wait them out. Well, there's a good chance you wait them out and you never get a bite because they don't show up that day. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But here we're able to move because we can look around and see that there's no fish there. We don't get that luxury without it, which I kind of like the fishing part of fishing was cool, right? It made what I did. I was more of the guy to like, I'm not getting bit right away. I'm gonna leave. I just did that because I found more success leaving rather than staying. So I was always on the move looking for fish that were active. It's a lot easier to make those decisions for these young guys because they're looking around going, oh, they ain't here. I'm just going to keep moving on. When you don't know that and you have to decide on what you want to do based on a feeling or a gut or whatever, that's, I think, what a lot of those old timers are always talking about. I'll put myself there too, like that gut feeling of like knowing when to do that and when not to. You're not always right. However, I think that's what we all look at as more of what we consider good fishermen or not. That's where I don't want to get into this like live scope debate, but that's where those guys are coming from. Is that like we always talked about the really good fishermen had a lot better thoughts and ideas about what to do in that gut stuff. So, I do too. I thought I was really good at that stuff. I still think I am. Now it's just easier to just pull in a pocket, go, though they're not here, and just keep moving. There's none of that thought process of like having to figure it out in there. Or do I like switch baits or do they move it? Now it's just like, oh, just keep moving. Just keep moving. So, yeah, that's what I think. I got two more. Forward-facing sonar will win the classic because there's no getting there without it. Yeah, well, you're right, Clay, in the sense of I agree with you. Also, everyone there can basically scope. So they're going to scope a little bit. But I don't see how in 3 days it won't be like there won't be quite a few fish. One, obviously, there's going to be tons of fish weighed in from it. I don't know how. I don't think you can win without weighing one in from doing it. How about that? I find that very unlikely. I don't even know what you would do. It'd be, yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Yeah. What are your ideas on fixing the numbers in tournaments? Well, I have a lot of ideas, and I've talked to the tournament directors about it. And I can put it to you this way: in years past, every single discussion about why people fish tournaments was based on money. I can tell you, no one's complaining about the money in any of these events. I'm complaining about the money in the Toyotas, but not because of what MLF is doing. MLF has done. Get ready for this, guys. Okay. MLF has done zero wrong here. Zero. I put 0% of the blame on them. Zero. If any of those MLF guys are listening, they're probably like rolling over in their grave. Like they're like, what? He's not saying where it's our. No, it's not their fault. It's no one's fault at the moment right now as to why tournaments. I'm not saying I don't know the cause of it. I'm saying it's no one's real fault. No one knew it was going to be like this 3 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. But now we're here. Okay. So like, it doesn't matter about the blame. Now we're in this predicament. And what do we do about it? I've gone over this 1,000 times in videos, and I will say this. Every about month or two, I change a little bit about the way I look at it moving forward. Okay. And I'll say this. At this moment in time, I think there's absolutely nothing you can do to fix it for next year. Okay. So there's just nothing you can do. You can stop the bleeding. You can put a Band-Aid on some things. You can maybe increase it by 5%. But you can't, whatever decision you make isn't going to all of a sudden bring back 150 guys next year in the Toyotas. I think MLF knows that. They can't put more money in this. They put more money in this a couple of years ago when they added the championship and all the money in and all this stuff. And they're already giving away more money than almost anyone else. So like, it's not a money thing. Money's not going to fix it. So that's why I said it's not their fault. If they were like, if the money wasn't there, I'd be blaming them like crazy, but I'm not. I don't know if they can reverse. There's obviously a big group of people that don't like forward-facing sonar. There's a group of guys out there that are not going to learn it. I don't blame them. I don't care. It is what it, like no one else should, it doesn't matter, right? They're just not going to, and that's fine. But they're not, and they know they're not going to win. Like certain terms, like they know on Rayburn, looking at the results and who did good, they looked at it and go, I can't compete. Now you could be like, well, that's on them and they need to like get out there and work harder and do it. You can say all that. That's great that anyone says that. Regardless, they're probably like, I'm not going to do that. And probably not going to show up next year. So I'm not even mad at any of these things. I'm just telling you, like, what are my thoughts? These are my thoughts on all this stuff. And then you got these young guys who don't care about any of this stuff. They're just making checks. They don't care about the future. I've tried talking to them in the line, and they probably get mad at me when I say stuff. And I'm just like, guys, I said something in line on day 3, and I don't think I was met with a lot of, oh, you're right, Todd. I was just going, hey, you might not like what I'm saying, but it's the truth. And next year, are we going to fish against 60 guys? Are we going to have the 60 boat field? So you can say what you want. And that's the problem with most fishermen, is that they're very not purposely selfish, but if you're just traveling around forward-facing sonar, going everywhere you want to, cashing checks, man, you don't care about everything else. But you're going to look up and go, hey, man, why did this tournament go away? Like, how come we didn't make any checks? And I'm not saying it's forward-facing sonar. I'm saying they're not thinking about the future and about how it's affecting everything. Whereas guys like me and a lot of guys, like my conversations I have with people in the business, in the industry, and we are all a little bit older and like involved with a lot of things. And I'm telling you, that's what we all see, whether it be with boat brands, bait companies, tackle stores, that guys are like, man, I might have to sell my tackle store. Like all this stuff starts adding up. So I see it all as a problem, and everyone's trying to figure out the solution. So, and I don't think there's a quick fix. And there might not be a fix. How about that? I honestly almost don't think there's a fix. So I'm not being a downer. I'm just saying that there might be one. Well, okay, I'll put it to you like this, guys, and then I got to go. There's a lot of people who are like, kind of jokingly like, oh, the PGA has a senior tour. What if they did that? Or what if we did tours where you could only live scope here and the other ones you couldn't? I'm like, the worst thing you can do in our industry, okay, and I'll explain it real quick, is to divide. When you divide things up, nothing ever is great. So, and what I mean by that is this. We're already hurting on numbers. I've always been a big component of like, I wish all these small tournaments would go away. We have a ton of tournaments on Rayburn. If you have 300 guys show up to an event on Rayburn, it's great. If all of a sudden half those people are like, I don't like to fish that event, we're going to start 2 more circuits. And then like 50 guys show up on this one, 50 guys show up this one. Now there's only 200 guys, right? Well, now that payout just went horrible on that tournament that had 300 teams in it. And these little tournaments, yeah, they're happy for right now, but they're not going to make any money. And the guys fishing them aren't going to make any money. So the worst thing in the world right now is having Bass, MLF, and NPFL. Honestly, I've always said that. I'm not saying either one of them is right or wrong. I'm just saying having 3 pro, it might be great for y'all, but for them making money, like imagine if those 3 tours all got together. This is wild, but imagine those 3 tours all got together and they picked the best 100 guys from all 3 of those tours and they all fished one, and all the money that all those tours had, right? 100 grand for over here, 100 grand for over here, and 100 grand for over here for winning. What if every tournament they fished for, first place was 300 grand, and they multiplied all their checks by 3? And those 100 guys, now granted, there's going to be a lot of fishermen not there anymore. I'm all for that. I'm all for less professional fishermen because I always said, at least if you made it, you made it. Now they're freaking collecting giant checks when they do it. Same thing with all this stuff. They had a NPFL, a BPT, an Open, and a Toyota, and whatever. If they didn't have as much of that stuff, you know, guys wouldn't have to be spread out. And the more you spread it out, the less money there is. Sponsors have to like, well, I would give you all 100 grand, but now I got to give 30 grand to this, 30 grand to that, 30 grand to that, 30 grand to that. So, yeah, that's my ideas on fixing the numbers. You can put a Band-Aid on the numbers. You could maybe do away with forward-facing sonar, maybe not. Maybe get rid of coinglers, maybe not. I think scheduling at the moment, if they scheduled it better to offset certain things, I think that's probably the quickest fix for at least next year is a scheduling is how they scheduled it. But yeah, so there's what got real quick. Okay, what booths are you working? Man, I'm just gonna be at Strike King probably the whole time. Strike King and Lose, just hanging out, talking to people. But yeah. Live scope doesn't matter at local tournaments. I beat 100 live scopers twice, didn't get checks cut, but beat 100 teams live scoping by myself. I wish I had one. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, it depends on what lake you're at. You can't think very short-minded. Like Rayburn, every tournament on Rayburn in the past like 3 years has been one live scoping. So it might be on like Livingston, where I'm from. Yeah, no one's probably ever going to win a tournament live scoping, but they also have, 40 team fields of, it's not the same, but yeah, it is what it is. God, I don't want to get into this. The outworked thing, I'm not going to get into that. I'm guy. Okay, real quick. I gotta go. I'm going to say this. Yes, I do believe some of the young guys are out there fishing a whole bunch. Okay. I do believe that more than some of the older guys. I agree. I think the older guys aren't out there as much anymore because I don't think they enjoy it. I've said that before. I don't think they enjoy it as much as they used to, maybe because of the way the industry is going. It becomes, you hear Lee? Lee says it's all business, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Lee worked hard for Rayburn. He had to travel all the way back and went out there on the most horrible day. Now, I will say this. If you took forward-facing sonar away from some of these young guys, right, they get to go out there and just have fun. Forward-facing sonar is like if you put me out there on Rayburn in January, right, and I had to deal with all the elements and the cold and everything else like that without forward-facing sonar, and told me to go practice for 7 days, dude, misery, absolute misery. You want to go out there some of those days and graph around in the cold and waves blowing on you, and all you're doing is graph around looking for fish, and you get 2 bites that day. That's a normal January tournament practice day. Okay. None of us want, like, it sucks going out there and practice. That is work. Give me live scope in January on Rayburn. I cannot wait to go. I catch 50, 60 fish a day. It's awesome. I catch 8 or 10 pounds, whatever. It's not work. So I think it's a lot. Like, I can't wait to go every day because I'm learning stuff and I get all that stuff. But you get out there and have to go work and go find fish like old school ways. Yeah. Go talk to some of them old guys. Take that thing away and watch these guys for days on end get less than 5 bites a day in horrible weather. And we did it. I'm sure some of them can do it, but that's work. I don't care what anyone says. That's work. What they're doing is not work. When I'm out there, yes, I'm out there, but old guys consider work getting their hands dirty and freaking, it sucks. But dude, going out there like having fun, that's fun fishing. Just saying, it's just a lot easier. Man, y'all are off on. Y'all are all going off on all kinds of stuff. Anyways, y'all went off, like, y'all got all mad at. I don't know. Well, look, there is a problem with this ban of forward-facing sonar. Like I said, I don't know if we've hit the point of no return. I don't know. Like, so look, you have to have 2 scenarios, and I brought up these 2 scenarios. Okay, if you can ban it or you keep it, right? If you ban it, what are you trying to do? You're trying to get these guys that don't want it to come back. Okay, and I do agree that the guys that want it, I believe, will still fish. Okay, because they're younger, and we'll see if they really want to go work now. Right now, let's see if they really want to get out there and like bust it out there when it's hard. Okay, but besides that, that's your option if you ban it. Now, you got to make sure when you ban it that these guys that have stopped fishing tournaments come back. Are you willing to bet that? 3 years ago, I'd have said yes. 2 years ago, maybe. Next year, I don't know. Like, the longer you go, the harder it is to make that decision, right? Because the longer you keep guys away, it's like with anything. If you've done something your whole life and you quit or you stop doing it, you usually figure out something else to go do. Do those guys come back? That's all I'm saying. So, you know, they could ban it. You gotta make sure that when you ban it, that then those guys come back. I don't know if they will. I thought they might, but I don't know if they will. They might be over it. See, I mean, they will have way more anglers in the years to come because of forward-facing sonar. I think I agree with that. But you got to replace the old guys, okay? And I'm just saying old guys. I'm just being real not politically correct. If you have 200 guys fishing, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we had 200 guys fishing the Toyota, okay? We've lost 100 of them, okay? They will have way more anglers in the years to come. True, I agree with you. However, if next year, though, from everything that I see, from next year, we will not have 100 guys. We had 97. I think we will have less, okay? There's a good chance if they kept it 2 years from now, we have less than that. Now, we might be collecting more young guys coming into the sport, but I don't know if we're collecting them fast enough for the old guys that are leaving it. And I'm saying old guys. I don't even want to call them old. I don't know what to say. I got to get a new phrase for them. Guys that are wanting to leave, say they're leaving because of that. I'm just throwing that out there. Say they're leaving. How many years is it going to take for all those new guys coming into the sport to replace all the guys leaving it? That's our problem. So yes, they might have more. MLF might not be around in 10 years because of that. All these tournament trails might not be around 10 years if it takes 10 years for that to happen. So that's the problem. I understand that they want to get rid of it. I'm just saying, I agree with y'all. I just don't know if we get those back. So that's all I'm saying is I don't know if we're going to have that luxury to wait around that long. And in doing so, 10 years, if I have to wait 10 years to freaking get a good check in a tournament again, are the young guys what about all the guys trying to make it in the sport that can't catch fish or they can't? Most of the guys showing up now don't need money. It looks like they don't need money. They're fishing these events. They're young and they have boats like I have, and I'm my age. So they might not be worried about checks, but most of the guys I knew when I was growing up, we all did it for the money. And so there's still a lot of guys out there doing it for the money. If they're looking up going, hey man, I'm doing good in events and I'm not making any money, are those guys going to leave? Are the young guys going to wait around fishing against 60 guys in local tournaments? That's why I say it's more complicated than that. You'd be surprised about the old guys coming back. Just saying. I agree with you that it's Espino tournament. I talked about the Espino tournament. I said it was awesome. It was awesome. I don't, like I said, the Espino tournament is a little bit different. He's been running it well. I just don't know. So I don't know. That's something they're going to have to figure out. I do think you can schedule. I think if you look to offset a little bit, and this is what I believe, the elites tried to do it this year. Okay, putting the Sabine on there, putting certain events on there where it basically is going to make it obsolete. You can do that, like putting a tournament in January on Rayburn. It's going to be a 100% scoping thing, right? I guess I was one of the few. There was a couple of us that didn't, but for the most part, if you put one, it doesn't matter even if it's still one scoping. But if you had to put one 3 weeks from now, I can tell you I would have been doing something different. And I'm telling you right now, I would have caught him. 100% I would have caught him. I would have gone 3 weeks from now. You put one on Rayburn, I'm like, mark me down for a top 10. I think a lot of other guys now. I might not have won it by any means, but I think guys would have caught him better enough to go, hey, I had a chance. And so there's lakes around this country, and maybe whoever it was, Jimmy was going around saying he beats everyone. There are lakes around there. You know, you go to Darnell. I went to Darnell and came in second last time we were there. I watched Scopers. I just laughed at Scopers. Like, can't even catch freaking two, right? So, I mean, you can go to certain lakes at certain times and compete based on that lake. It looks like right now, Rayburn and Toledo, that's not them lakes. Kentucky Lake, not that lake. Gunnersville, I bet. I don't know about Gunnersville. I don't want to speak on other lakes, but there's certain lakes like you can't compete. So I mean, there's just certain lakes you can, and at the right time of the year, if you do it the right time of year, scheduling wise and whatever. Not saying they can't catch fish there, but you can at least compete, and that's yeah. Man, y'all went off into some bull riding stuff, man, and cocaine. I got okay. I went 40 minutes past and I haven't even had Lee here, but y'all been great. I mean, y'all are talking about King of the Hill. I don't even know. I mean, I didn't read half through y'all's comments. It's the end of the, you freaking y'all are crazy. All right. I don't know if I'm doing one next. Oh, maybe because okay. Here's the thing. I'm gonna be around some guys at the Classic. Let's see if I can get some of them going. I'm going to talk to John Garrett. If he's got time after the Classic, I'm going to get him on. And then I might have a guy, an elite guy or two, I don't want to say who, coming through town fishing with me. We might do some video. I don't know yet. So I might get him on where we can go live. Just so like, yeah, I'm going to hopefully I'll get some different guests. Hey, and if we get Lee, hopefully Lee wins this thing. We'll have him on freaking the next day, right? I am going to go root for him. Him and how many guys? I got to look at it. I mean, obviously him, Hackney, who? Like I said, all my bass picks. I'm picking buddies. Kyle Patrick's going to be there. Any of my buddies fishing this, I'm just going to be like, that's who I'm going for. So they'll probably all be in the same bucket. But yeah, hopefully it's a guy. One of my buddies wins it. All right. See y'all.